Men of Reddit, when was the last time you cried? Yesterday. I cry most every day now. Tears of joy and tears of sadness. I'm 84. If it doesn't feel like I'm intruding too much, but what makes you cry the most often out of your life experiences? There is a saying in Japan that I'm fond of and relates to. One is born drunk and dies crazy. Maybe I'm near the crazy old man stage of my life. When my neighbor's son died, he was such a wonderful boy. How old was he? He was 10. Yesterday, I was telling my youngest daughter about her grandma, my mom, who she never had the privilege to meet before my mom passed away. After telling her some funny stories and some of the talents that my mom had, she turned and said, "Wow, you must really miss her." It was very difficult to not completely break down in front of my daughter. Funny enough, I cried a few days before that as well. My older dog is getting towards the end of her life. She's starting to have trouble moving around. I can tell she's in pain every day. I laid with her a few nights ago while she slept, just so I could enjoy her presence and give her all the love she deserves. I couldn't help but break down while laying with her because I know there isn't much time left with her. I think what hurts most is that my kids are so attached to her as well. I know it's going to hurt for them, and it will be the first time that I can't fix a problem for my kids. Maybe that's what scares me most. I had to put my dog down a week ago. So a week ago, and a couple days after that. Yesterday, my sister gave us recordings they found of my great-grandpa reciting poetry. Hadn't heard his voice in 20 years. That's beautiful. Thanksgiving, USA. I work in a hospital. I worked Thanksgiving Day. The last patient we did a CT scan on was this super old lady who was hard of hearing and had COVID. She was saying she was really scared, and I tried to tell her we will be done fast. A chest CT took only minutes. We finished, got her off the table, and I left thinking nothing of it. I get home, shower, and have Thanksgiving dinner with my fiancée and her daughter. It's just the three of us living in a house. Halfway through dinner my mind happened to drift, and the old lady popped in my head, and I just started crying right there at the dinner table. My fiancé asked me what was wrong, and I told her about the old lady, and how her scared tone broke my heart, and how I got to go home to be with my loved ones, and how she is literally all alone, because no visitors are allowed on covered units, and scared and confused. I just felt real bad for her, and I didn't give myself enough time to decompress from work, so I wound up just crying at dinner. A little over a year ago, when I had to put down my 8-month-old kitten due to fib. Just lost my cat of 15 years a few days ago. It really can be painful to put down an elderly cat, so I can't even imagine how hard it had to be for you. I'm truly sorry for your loss. The death of my kitten was especially bad because I lost my cat of 18 years a few weeks before I got the kitten. When my dog was sick, he's doing better now BTW. Strangely enough, I cry often, and for little to no reason. Not a serious cry, more like I get choked up and have tears well up in my eyes. It's always small, random things, a killer song, a well done scene in a film, etc. It's never things I expect, and for seemingly no reason. Glad to know someone else gets these too. I thought my brain was a little broken. Wish I had some idea why it happens. I suspect it's the result of an underlying mental health issue. A week ago, I was watching on YouTube the scene of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when Will Smith got rejected by his dad. He talks to his uncle about how he didn't need him. I cried the whole scene long, because my dad left me as well when I was younger. A fake. Both Will Smith and James Avery, Mr. Phil, cried for real while shooting this scene. Other cast and crew members cried also. This was very emotional scene. Not only are they crying for real, but almost everything after he left was unscripted. Really cried? Like full blown ugly cried my eyes out for 3 days straight and was mentally disconnected at work to avoid crying while working. December 2018. Found out the cat I had since 2010 or so that my best friend helped me find and acquire after a very horrible breakup had acute kidney failure. I found him in my bathroom laying on the little mat in front of my sink in a very disoriented state with very sickly sweet smelling breath. We tried to get him to drink and eat and he refused. So we took him to an emergency vet, which is where we learned what was going on. It had progressed to the point that chances were he wasn't going to survive for another year, so I had to make the heartbreaking decision to put him down the following morning. So we took him back home, and he slept with me all night. I still have videos of my little boy that night. He kept me afloat through a very hard and dark time in my life, was always there for me when I was severely depressed, and at the time was the one thing keeping me from simply ending everything. I know, silly to some, but this cat was my guardian angel that I needed. Him and I went through so much shit together. Multiple moves, horrible flea infestations from a different ex's cat. But we always took care of stuff together. When it came down to it, he'd always sleep on me at night. My chest, my back, my side, tucked up against me, rarely ever away from me at night. He was the best of cats, and I miss him to this day. Your cat sounded amazing. I'm sorry he isn't around anymore. Recently, when I realized my love of nostalgia is rooted in being unhappy with where I currently am in my life. Oh shit. I just finished crying. I'm not ashamed. Damn. You need a hug, bro? That's an understatement. I lost my father last week. Still processing things. This year sucks. 2 years ago, when dad died, cried every day for 3 months or so. Never since. Yesterday, watching my sister be sworn into the Air Force. Were you sad to see her go or? No, just really proud. She worked really hard to get another degree in order to go in as an officer. A year ago, I couldn't get up the stairs from the physical pain I was in. Realizing that this is what my life will be, I was overworked and suffering pain from my club feet. I just couldn't. I literally broke down 4 steps from the top. I still feel exactly the same as I did on that day. My girlfriend and I just watched Click last week. That movie makes me cry like a baby every damn time. My last big cry though was last month. I finally am off probation, and I'm a free man for the first time in my adult life after getting caught with weed my freshman year of college. It's been a long 8 years. The American justice system never fails, in that it finds a new way to disappoint me every day. The day before yesterday, I was tripping balls on acid and was overwhelmed by how much I love my cat and how beautiful they are. Cried seriously a few weeks ago to my girlfriend because I felt like my life isn't going anywhere at all. I likely cried the other day at the end of The Mandalorian because that show is just so good. Yesterday, our daughter was diagnosed with breast cancer end of September. She passed away November 5th. Left 3 young children and a husband. There has been a shift in the universe and our lives have changed forever. I miss my baby girl. Every minute of every hour of every day. Watching a video of a old guy being congratulated in an auditorium for saving a lot of people during WW2. Then, the speaker tells the audience to get up if they were saved by the old guy. A lot of people get up, and the old man gets really emotional. So did I. Couple weeks ago, I was having a PTSD episode that was on and off the entire day. I was holed up in my bedroom and didn't feel like doing anything, just waiting for it all to pass. I felt broken and hopeless, but it usually goes away and I go back to feeling generally apathetic eventually, usually the next day. Sometimes bad days sneak up on us. You got through it, and I look up to you for that. Keep up the good work. Treat yourself to a disgusting/delicious unhealthy meal. Yesterday, at a funeral. About a year ago, my good friend killed himself. I figured he would eventually, cause he had tried before and literally told me he was going to sooner than later. I begged him not to, and tried to get him help, but none of the therapy or antidepressants helped him. Last week, I was adopted at birth, and it was a closed adoption. I joined 23andMe to mainly find out what my bloodline is, and after a year I was contacted by my biological aunt. She is willing to meet up and answer questions. I never thought this day would come after 39 years. That's so wonderful. There is a strange closure that come with knowing where you come from. Just now lol. First time dad and really going through the shit RN. Mom. and I vividly remember my first outing one, after having my very much wanted and totally beloved first baby, crying in the car and muttering, "What did I do? What did I do?" Question mark. Being a new parent is a total mindfuck. It wasn't full on crying, but the closest I've come to that was about 3 years ago. My family of 4 was moving to a new house. Despite me having to work a full-time job, I did almost all the moving of boxes and furniture and all of the pre and post move cleaning. I was awake and working, and work, at moving stuff, and at cleaning, from 6 AM on Thursday to 2 PM on Friday with almost no help. Had a kind of mental breakdown, followed by a migraine and a restless nap in my parked car. You are a good man. I have cried every day for almost a year. My husband was killed in March. He walked out the door one day and I got a phone call the next day and then I got an urn. The end. Yesterday, my mother died over the summer and I have been crying quite a lot still. Just a few minutes ago I got a little choked up watching and listening to an enormous crowd at a Green Day concert all singing Bohemian Rhapsody together. It was sublime. The feeling, not the band. I was off my medication and there was a computer animated carrot that made his way home to his family for Christmas in an advert. This morning, my dad is actively dying from throat cancer and has maybe a day or so left. Before that, I've lost 2 dogs and my grandmother this year. 2020 has pulled a lot of tears out of me. When my daughter left home earlier this year, I'm so proud of her for being successful on her own, but miss her presence terribly. A couple of weeks, or maybe it was Friday, I can't remember the day, I just remember drinking a bottle of Jack while listening to music and thinking about everyone more successful than I'll ever be. Guess life can't be perfect for everybody. Comparison is the thief of joy. I can't help but do the same, but behind the scenes, who knows if others really have their shit together. About 2 weeks ago, called the in-laws to come get all my guns from the house. Have some crazy shit from my business going on and some other negative thoughts. Working up the nerve to sit and talk with a psychologist or therapist. When my friend cut all bridges with me last week. When my grandmother died when I was 11. 4 days ago, for the first time in over 3 years, I had to put my cat of 15 years to sleep. All the vet had to say was he is no longer with us, and I just broke down. I usually don't get urges to cry, but when I do, they are near impossible to control. Few nights ago, when I was up all night not able to sleep, my mum only has a few days left to live, but for some reason my anxiety-ridden mind remembered some of our bad times and that's not what I want to remember. I'm only going to remember the good times. Earlier when my sister sent me a video of her 1-year-old daughter from the hospital, she's quarantined for at least 9 months. We are 6 months in. It's hard. I miss them so much. Right now, just found out a friend of mine was killed last night. Haven't told anyone I know about it yet. So as far as it goes I'm just gonna say it to the Reddit void. I cry about once a week. I, 25, have a daughter, 3, who has cerebral palsy, microcephaly and a few other major diagnoses. I cry because it breaks my heart knowing she may never say mommy to my wife. I cry because I see my 1 and 2-year-old nieces/nephews walking and crawling, and my child will never be able to. I cry because it is a devastating feeling knowing I will more than likely outlive her. Life sucks, but I'm blessed to have her, because she is the happiest, cutest little princess ever. God bless you. Hang in there. I haven't cried in a long time. I think the last time I cried was when I was homeless and completely hopeless, curled up in a bowl living behind some bushes. My dad's birthday, he passed in 2004. Sunday night, November 29th, 2020, I was in the middle of making the bed and collapsed in sobs because my wife was in the hospital and I hadn't seen her since the ambulance took her Friday morning. The pictures on her side of the bed feature 2 of our pets that are no longer with us, and at that point 3 girls from my life were gone. Half on the floor, half on the bed, sheet folded around me. Our male cat got off the bed and stood behind me to protect me while vulnerable, and let me know by putting his foot on my calf. I then had to go fiddle with the toilet light to distract myself from being alone. Has she had any improvement? Thank you. Yes. We had a 6-day stay in the hospital, followed by a trip to the ER about 6 days later. That one was an in and out, since we knew what we were dealing with, and once it was confirmed that steroids prevented the immune response, we were released home. I honestly can't anymore. Not like I've used to. I feel the sadness, but it just doesn't come. I tear up and that's it. No letting it all out. No feeling of relief. Just ball of sadness and woe that gradually fades. It's freaking hell. Reading your comment made me sad, and I can see the frustration in it too. From one stranger to another. I hope that things get better for you. Thanks, stranger. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe for more videos.